I personally see this full house as a hint of the huge amount of Catholic divest invest action that will be unleashed in the upcoming months and years. So that's extremely exciting. We're really delighted about it. We are mindful that in this conference today we'll be talking and discussing one aspect of Laudato Si, Laudato Si being a much broader and rich document covering multiple issues. But this theme and this topic about divest, invest action is definitely a critical one, a very timely one for Catholic institutions. And we are delighted to have the opportunity to dive deep into the issues. And we hope that this conference will help materialize the dramatic call to action of the bishops' conferences from across the globe. You might recall that nearly about a year ago, all the continental bishops' conferences came together and released a very important statement ahead of COP21. And there's a quote from it that is there in the slide, in which all these bishops' conferences from across the globe, as a response to Laudato Si, called, quote, "put an end to the fossil fuel era and bring about renewable energy for all." So that was a very clear call to action from all the bishops' conferences across the globe. So in this conference, we're hoping that we'll try to turn that strong statement from the Catholic Church into concrete action in our communities and in our organizations. So, and needless to say, the urgency of the climate crisis couldn't be more dramatic. The cry of the earth and the cry of the poor couldn't be louder. So we hope that this conference will really, we'll be able to discuss how to bring about that important call to put an end to the fossil fuel era, that important call to bring about a sustainable and just world as envisioned in Laudato Si. So thanks everybody for joining us and looking forward for the day. Thank you.
Good morning, Your Eminences, distinguished speakers, colleagues and friends. My name is Penelope Finnan. I'm Deputy Director of TROPRA, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here, and I think this is a really important moment, and I think it's going to be a very exciting day. I have the easy task of introducing two very distinguished speakers, and I'm honoured to introduce them. Your Eminence Cardinal Turkson and Ms. Christiana Cadeiras. They've set the context for the day and to help our deliberations. And our deliberations, as Thomas said, is on the role of Catholic and Catholic organisations and the role that they can play in the invest-divest movement. We've asked them to speak to the challenges and the call to action. That's a loud call to action. It's building on the moral and ethical teachings in Laudato Si, the historical agreement in Paris, and the growing movement of individuals, communities and organisations who are demanding greater leadership to safeguard our planet and protect the most vulnerable. That's a very loud call and a demand that is ever more urgent, I think, today in a very unpredictable world. A world that's changing radically and a world that is characterised by the denial, in some cases, of indisputable truths. The way we're going to do the session is that the keynote speakers will be introduced in turn, and then we go straight into the next session, which will be chaired by Jackie Ramond. So first, my pleasure to introduce Your Eminence Cardinal Peter Turkson, who's the Prefect of the Dicastery, the Promotion of Integral Development. Cardinal Turkson was born in Ghana, ordained in 1975. He studied theology in New York prior to that, and graduate studies in the Pontifical Biblical Institute in Rome. He was appointed Archbishop of Cape Coast by St. John Paul II and made a cardinal in 2003. He was president of the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference and since 2003 has been Chancellor of the Catholic University College of Ghana. Cardinal Turkson was appointed President of the Pontifical Council for Justice and Peace by Pope Benedict, following the Synod, and where he played an absolutely critical role, the Synod of Bishops for Africa in 2009. And that post was reconfirmed by Pope Francis in 2013. His field of interest, as many of you know, include human rights, ecology, integral development, economics and social justice, reconciliation and sustainable agriculture. We were very honoured to have Cardinal Turkson deliver our annual Lenten lecture in Ireland on integral ecology and the horizon of hope. He was very inspiring then, and he inspired a whole swathe of people in Ireland, and I'm sure he will be very inspiring this morning as we set off on our deliberations. So, Cardinal Turkson, the podium is yours.
Briefly, I was wondering on what linguistic wavelength we're going to be traveling this morning. When it all started in Italian, and we would have gone on that wavelength, but I'm glad that it switched. So, Your Eminence, Miss Christina, and all of you distinguished guests and participants of this event, I greet all of you very warmly on behalf of the Pontifical, no more Council for Pontifical Dicastery now for Integral Human Development. And I trust with all the introducers of this event that this will be a very interesting learning experience for all of us. The invitation to this event also had as a subtitle the urgency of such a change. And there's been so many references already to Laudato Si, and I can't help but refer to it. And basically, I'm not sure whether any of you is holding a copy of Laudato Si here, but in case you decide to look at it later, paragraph 13 and 14 would be good paragraphs to introduce all of this for us this morning. Paragraph 13, the Pope says that the challenge is urgent. The challenge to protect the earth is urgent, and it includes a concern to bring everybody together to try to fashion a solution for the challenge we face. Then he continues in paragraph 14, which was quoted by the representative of the Sindaco di Roma, the mayor of Rome. I urgently then appeal to all of you for a new dialogue, to engage in a new dialogue towards finding a solution to all of this, to ensure and to shape a better future for us. And this includes everyone and every form of activity that we exercise. So this invitation to all of us to come together and to consider this, include every form of activity, is what probably brings us this morning here together to want to discuss how we can help reduce the carbon footprint on our planet by looking at, again, how we can gradually, and I use the word progressively, turn off this type of fossil fuel and all. Since we're talking about religious groups, and in this, divesting, I like to, right from the beginning, probably observe that in dealing with religious groups since Laudato Si has been published, we have two currents, coming our way. There is a group that is insistent on divesting, but we also have an equally strong group talking about the need to engage with the investors so you can fashion a change in direction with them. So moving away from fossil fuel doesn't take this single direction of divesting. Some are of the opinion that it will be more useful if we engage with whoever the cost of this pollution is, and then gradually got them to switch gears or to move away from what they do. This morning, however, by way of briefly introducing what we gathered here to do, I'd like to, excuse me, I'd like to start off with a small quote from Pope John the 23rd in his encyclical Mater et Magistra, and it's about education and teaching and learning. The Pope says, no Christian education can be considered complete unless it covers every kind of obligation. It must therefore aim at implanting and fostering among the faithful an awareness of their duty to carry on their economic and social activities in a Christian manner. And this invitation then is for what later on a lot of bishops' conferences then use and justify their involvement in education with as integral education, and refer to a Catholic contribution to education as being integral. Integral education in this regard is also spoken of by Pope Benedict. And when he has to speak about that, he talks about education involving development of a universal range, touching almost every aspect of our culture and every aspect of our development and activity. And he goes on to say, because this involves the whole person, every bit of it, including every activity that is exercised. This we find to be a very wonderful way of introducing and getting into our subject matter this morning, because everything we're discussing here must include our relationships, our culture, art, hygiene, spirituality, sexuality, professional training, and every form of human activity. All this has to be done in a Christian manner, inspired by a genuine love for the threefold relationships in which we were created: with God, with one another, and with our earth, towards which we owe the obligation of normally what is referred to as justice, ecological justice. My dear friends, indeed the encyclical Laudato is got us going on this. But it was prepared in a lot of ways, especially with regard to our theme this morning, by another great encyclical of Pope John Paul II, Centesimus Annus, which explained that the Church acknowledges the legitimate role of profit as an indication that the business is functioning well. However, as we may all well know, other factors must also be considered, such as economic, democratic, social, environmental, legal, and ecological concerns. These then constitute moral factors which moderate and which direct our own decisions and activities. And so, we cannot disregard those factors, for example, without caring for what our own monies do. When we carry out an investment, we give monies to be used in several sectors. And the subject matter of our discussion this morning invites us then to want to be interested in asking about what our monies do. When we do invest in anything, the thing worth doing is also to consider every now and then what our monies invested end up doing. Pope John the 23rd said, more than 60 years ago, we have a duty to carry economic and social activities in a Christian manner. And what is at stake? Our consistency, our responsibility, the practical implication of our faith and our social principles. In other words, our dignity. And to ensure that everything we invest in promotes our dignity. Dignity not only of the human person, but dignity also of our common Pope, which supports and sustains us. Pope Benedict XVI would say this in his own different way, inviting all of us to recognize and to direct our activities, including our investment, by freedom, and that means the responsibility to answer the why, to why we do, why we invest, and then truth, respect for truth. truth in the activities we engage in, and truth about the consequences of the activities we engage in. Indifference can be the one thing that compromises our commitment to responsible investment and the desire for truth of what our investment does. But there is no room for indifference here. We can have an impact, a positive impact. And so echoing the encouraging words again of Pope Francis this past June, 16th of June, he addressing the participants of a conference on impact investment in the Vatican, impact investment for the poor, said that investment responsibility and solidarity must be linked. Resources shall be used in order to promote the economic and social development and satisfy basic needs of humanity, including the need for energy. But to have a positive, invest in things which have positive repercussions on local communities, on employment, on the environment as a whole. This calls for a sense of justice and the ability to consider all with fairness, in truth, and in justice. Our seminar this morning then, what kind of positive impact can we have on the energy-related investments and other related issues, such as the so-called payment of ecosystem services? Just make a few random observations, reserving the specific figures and the numbers to be given by the experts among us. When Laudato calls for moving away from fossil fuel, it introduces a critical adjective or adverb, which is progressional. Our investment then, or the divestment from all of this, can sometimes necessarily must have the form of a progression. And so shortly after Laudato was published, the ambassador of Poland to the Vatican came to our office and observed how part of Poland finds the encyclical very, very disturbing. This is a coal mining section in Poland called Poznan. And the publication of the encyclical, as it were, calling for divestment and moving away from fossil fuel, is got the whole community in turmoil, as if the Pope wants to take away their jobs from them. Going to that community then to engage in conversation with them was to just simply make the point. Coal is not, after all, only to be burnt. Coal can be used in other material research and the production of new substances. And so incidentally on this trip, in flight, I saw a magazine in which BMW was talking about a new model of car coming where the dashboard was going to be completely in carbon. So referring to that, we could then encourage the people of Poznan not to lose out that the Pope was against them, but to discover other ways of using carbon. This is part of the divestment discussion that we engaging in this morning. So the Pope's thing for the people in Poznan in this case was that recognizing what carbon burn, the burning of carbon, use of carbon or source of energy does, to gradually turn off the tap. So divestment in this case becomes progressional, something that happens gradually, and that is a recommendation made also by the encyclical. So at the end of the day, how can we use our leverages for the common good? How can we foster in a rapid, visible, and coordinated way a wave of responsibility in order to stop all the things that we consider unacceptable, intolerable, like the side effects of our activities? In this sense, energy. They need to consider all the type of services involved in the production of energy, and if it is coal, to check our supply chain, ensure that it's not just the carbon footprint we're talking about, but whether even there's slavery or all forms, any form of activity that diminishes human dignity involved in the production process. We also will be also inviting to see how we can influence the things that we consider and the things that we can address, things that can be done better. Help the evolution of management, impose higher standards on human rights, insist on transparency and better environmental management. About getting rid of highly polluting fuels and technologies, we can probably ask ourselves how we can follow both indications progressively and without delay. This again is what Laudato advises us to do in paragraph 165. Can we then identify the context in which the transitions requires special cares and how we can carry them out? Many banks, even well-established banks, as we know these days, have repeatedly been involved in financial scandals, massive evasions, and borderline ventures, adventurous and speculative operations. And after each scandal, there is the call for pardon, and then call for greater vigilance and greater exercise of authority and supervision of activity. Then it happens again. So how can those millions of us, users of energy, users of all of these resources, then begin to say to the banks, we don't want you to keep doing this again. It is time to switch gears. It is time to do things differently. Bank systems and financial systems must be drastically then put at the service of the common good, and I suppose we can't wait much longer for this to happen. A point about the so-called integral ecology, which again the encyclical strongly makes its central message, would have us also put the question, how can we foster a vision of investment which reflects the requirements of integral ecology and even subsidiarity? How can we make and require of all forms of energy and their production, especially fossil fuel, the respect for the common good, the respect ultimately for the promotion of integral ecology? Finally, I want to address the issue of never-ending consumerism. We must consider the warning about the culture of waste addressed by Pope Francis several times and also presented in this encyclical. We also came out in support of this call of the Holy Father in a small booklet we produced in our office called Energy, Justice, and Peace. And in it, we make the observation that the unbridled search for new short-life cycle products that devour energy and soon become obsolete appears to be never-ending. Moreover, these products are designed to encourage dependence and a sense of need. All this contributes to maximizing profit and maintaining an unsustainable energy paradigm. And so, is it again, as we seek to encourage fossil fuel divestment, can we also call for a reasonable and sustainable use of energy in the different production lines and assembly lines that we have to work with? In the area of consumable items, can these items be produced to have a longer expiry dates than the short expiry dates that we have for a lot of products, which requires to throw them out and then bring in new ones? And so how can we then abandon the ideal of a progress that is not sustainable? And is it time, as we consider energy in such a critical way, look at also changing our paradigm of what we mean by development and what we mean by progress? All of this we consider to be critical reflections that we need to make as we seek to protect our world, our common home, by ensuring that it doesn't become an oven that produces so much carbon that the disappearance of heat is trapped within its own atmospheric system. So, my dear friends, we welcome all of you warmly to the seminar, the discussion that we'll be having today. And I trust that at the end of this discussion, we would, as expressed by the former speakers, be motivated as to want to commit in a very convincing way to moving away from fossil fuel, however slow the progression may be. If you can move faster, we'll thank God for that. But if we can move fast and must still move, then let us move. But in any case, move and not remain standing in the use of fossil fuel, anything that contaminates and traps our atmosphere with carbon. Thank you.